Okay, it is 6:30. Welcome to the August 28th regular board meeting for Black Hawk. I'm sorry, are we on?
Yes, we're.
Okay, great. If you would mind joining me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And we're going to have 30 seconds of silence. Okay, thank you. That was silence except for one of the Davids.
He was adjusting his.
Hey.
We can
Do-
hear you.
Do we need to see Johnson? Do we need to see them both on the?
It'll switch back and forth as they speak.
Okay, great. All right, welcome everyone. Citizens communication, do we have any? Did you have anything? Sandy? Okay, I thought. All right, no one else? Okay, do I have a motion to approve the consent items, the minutes from July 24th? 2024, motion,
Second?
any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and move 26A, it's under engineering. It is, no, it's not, wait, I'm looking at a new, 23A, sorry about that. 23A, Nebraska Furniture Mart, and we have Jim with us from Bella Group. Jim, if you'd like to just step up to the podium, and that way the owl can pick you up, you can be on the screen, but thank you, welcome.
Oh, well, thank you. Well, thanks everybody for having us tonight. I'm Jim Cicchini with Violet Crown Management. We are the project managers for the Nebraska Furniture Mart. So a few weeks ago, we got together with the board and a subcommittee and we decided it would probably be in everyone's best interest if we could attend these meetings on a monthly basis. So we're going to be here, either myself or another representative of Violet Crown Management, to talk about some high-level topics. So whether they're outline project milestones or discussion points of what's ongoing on the site or provide any information that we can about major work that's going to take place on site. So we're not going to talk about if they're raising framing walls this week or next week, but major concrete pours, major things that are going to impact the community and maybe we can get repercussions in the neighborhood. So that's why we're going to be here. We want to be here, provide you with updates, positive things that are happening about the site, to keep everybody abreast of the situation. So, all that being said, I think it's important that everybody understands that there's three major components to this site. One is obviously the Nebraska Furniture Mart store itself. Second is the Shield Sporting Goods store, which is about 350,000 square feet. And then lastly is the hotel and convention center that we're going to build for the city of Cedar Park. So I did write down a couple dates and I want to be exact with them, that I don't want to mislead anybody, but chronologically, I'll speak about each of them. So first is the Shield Sporting Goods store. So that contractor has mobilized. They're out of Lincoln, Nebraska, so they're actually on site right now. They've got trailers. Their construction is scheduled to start in October of this year, of 24, and they're scheduled, all these projects are basically on a 2-year turnaround, so they're scheduled to start October of 24, and they have their opening in October of 26. So that's the first part of the project. Nebraska Furniture Mart, their contractor will be mobilizing early October. They're going to break ground in January of 25 with a finish date of January of 27. So both of those stores will be open within 90 days of one another. And then lastly is the hotel and convention center. We're still working through the design and concept on the hotel. We've got a very good idea of what brand it may be, the number of keys, how the convention center is going to work and all that. We anticipate that March of 2026 or of 2025 that's going to start and be ready to be placed in service in March of 2027. So those are really the big milestone picture of what's going to happen over there. Now, as we continue to move forward, we'll have representatives from the construction team here that may talk about what activities are going to happen on the construction or concrete pours or things of that nature. The site itself, we are approximately 90% done with the mass grading. So everything you've seen over there lately has just been dirt being moved. We moved a considerable amount of dirt. So we're close, we're about 2 months away from the final completion of the mass grading. So some of the dust issues and things like that are gonna go away. We've currently started installing all the underground utilities, so everything you're gonna be seeing now is gonna be subterranean work to install that. At that point, the current contractor that's on site will be getting close to demobilizing, and we'll be moving into the vertical construction aspect of the site, so that's good news and super exciting for all of us. A few of the things that have happened over the last 30 days is, one of the things we were doing is there was stormwater from the site. Naturally, the site drains from our northern boundary, which is along Creek Run, to our southern boundary of New Hope. But as construction has been ongoing, as you can imagine, we're changing the elevations of the site, right? So some water was gradually coming to Creek Run and into the blockhouse. So we took some measures, put in the block box, we tried to do different things. We worked with David, we worked with the mud to do what was best, and we're past all of that right now. So as of, I think it was August 1st, so earlier this month, there is no more water that's being either naturally run off from a temporary grading perspective to blockhouse, and no water is being pumped over here through dewatering efforts. All the water on site is being retained on site, it's being put into detention ponds, and from there it's being pumped or dewatered south to a drainage pit along New Hope, and then it runs out to the regional detention pond down behind the Cedar Park Regional Hospital.
The deal overall was that there would be eventually some runoff. When can we expect that to resume?
There'll be some natural runoff, but before November 20th of this year, there are 3 stormwater taps along Creek Run. So if you noticed, over the course of this week, I worked with Ursula and her team, and we let them know a few weeks ago, she talked to the principal of the school, that we would be doing some potholing out there along Creek Run. And that is basically just to go forward, do exploratory little holes to see, locate existing utilities, depths, make sure we're okay. So we'll be doing those 3 taps for the runoff to go into the blockhouse mud storm system, which the plans have been reviewed and approved by David and his group. David and his group will be involved in all of the inspection and the installation along.
Okay, so that'll happen subterranean, so we shouldn't see any large amount of water coming in. It's all gonna be in the pipes.
Yeah, it'll be eventually gathered all in the pipes. You may have some temporary runoff from some areas that are immediately adjacent to the property site, but not to the extent you've had in the past.
Okay.
If you were to go out to the site, I don't wanna have an open invitation for everybody to go to the site, but if you were to go over there, all of our SWIP majors and temporary grading, as of August 1st, drain south. They drain south, so we're not bringing any water over here. I don't wanna get into particulars, but there might have been an issue that was raised earlier this week about some runoff, and we can sit here and assure you that that came from the community.
And we can address that too.
For whatever reason that was.
Okay.
I don't want to miss anything, I apologize. What's that? Really, that's what we have at this point. We know there's gonna be maybe some disturbances, maybe some issues that the community may come up with, but I'm personally here, I've been involved in other projects on this south of us, so anything you need, I'm available, David knows we're available, Ursula knows we're available. We really look forward to being great neighbors with you, just as you all have been great neighbors with us. So any issues you have, my ears are always open, you have my cell phone number, I'll be available.
Great, thank you, Jim. I did reach out to you earlier today and shared with you about the trees.
You did.
Over, yeah, and if you, I can share what you shared with me, but that was PEC, they're installing, temporary lines.
I'm confused, I shouldn't say, I'm not aware of exactly what they're doing. We cut a temporary access road from South Blockhouse Road east across Rieger Holdings property into our site. That's been approved, Evans has been approved, the curb cuts have been approved. We are going to bring temporary power up that road to service our site, but that's going to come off the existing overhead lines. And they'll be north of the road that we cut in on Mr. Rieger's property. What they did south, we are not contracted with PEC at the current time. We don't have easements agreements with PEC at this time. And when I pulled out today at about, I think you sent the email maybe 3 o'clock, I pulled out at 2:30 and I thought the same thing.
Yeah.
So I immediately placed a call to PEC, the higher ups, to figure out exactly what they were doing. The truck wasn't marked, so I don't know, but I would get the information.
Okay. Yeah, if you would share that with us.
So that temporary road, as I understand, it is to be temporary, or is that going to be a long term? That will be?
No, that's a temporary road that we paid a substantial amount of money to have access to the property, but.
But by that project end, that will not be a road.
Correct.
Thank you.
100%.
Yeah, it'll be removed.
One last thing is that I shared with residents, is that all this information which you shared with us in our meeting is all available at the city of Cedar Park. You know, it's all public information.
It's all public.
Anybody can look at that. So I'm encouraging residents, when they have concerns or issues, to please go to the city of Cedar Park, because they're really the ones that, you know, overseeing this, and that's really the best place to go, I think.
It truly is, but if they ever, you know, like you said, if they come back to you and if they're running into the wall, which I highly doubt with Cedar Park, they're pretty open and
Right.
and they disclose everything. More than welcome to be the ears and listen
Yeah,
and provide you some answers.
great, okay. Director Roberts, you have any questions?
Yeah, just thank you, first of all, for being here, and I think it does help us get a little bit better comfort level of kind of inside what's going on, and David's done a great job of keeping us informed. But you're saying that the dust will settle down within the next, I mean, the dirt work is almost done, is that what I understand you
Correct.
to say? Okay, so what measures have they done to kind of calm the dust down? Because I hear that the residents that back up to it immediately have dust all over their backyards, their cars, everything. I mean, is there any,
I'm glad you asked that question, because I can kind of maybe, we have done a significant amount of water. We water as the site's being worked on every day. If you'd imagine the day where we had the issue with the resident with the creek, it rained we had half an inch of rain in maybe an hour and a half. And within 20 minutes, the dust was back. So God himself watered that site. And in the sun, we couldn't keep up with it. So it is a ongoing battle. It's something that we realize is gonna happen. It's what happens in the need of progress, but we'll continue to do what we can to.
that's almost
limit that.
done, is what you're saying?
It's almost done, yes.
Good, that's a good thing.
Okay. Director Johnson, do you have any questions?
I don't.
Director Shoemaker?
No questions.
Okay, and Director Young, do you have any more questions? Okay, great. Thank you so much for coming. We'll see you next month, and I'm sure we'll talk in between now and then.
Of course it will. And I just want to add one more thing. I am a resident of Cedar Park for 6 years, so.
Well, there you go.
I just live a few miles away, so, yeah.
Thank you.
All right, take
Thank
care.
you.
y'all.
All
Thank you.
right, thanks.
Thanks, Jim.
Have a great night.
You too.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and move on. A report from Blockhouse Owners Association. Sandy?
I decided on my way in that I'm the party girl, I don't have anything really to offer, so. Just a comic relief here. So we had our big back to school bash on the 17th, and from everything I heard, it went really well. We had a lot of people, a lot more people than we normally do. And we had new rides and new, just kind of lots of different things, new food trucks. So as far as I know, it went really well. Our next event is September 21st, and it's the Lantern Parade that Carolyn, can't remember her last name, that she always puts on. What?
Patrick?
Carolyn Patrick. She meets with the residents and they build their lanterns, and then we have a parade, and we've got a band, the Misshapen Mishaps or somebody is our band. You can tell I'm really prepared today. And so that, and then and then the pumpkins, they're not ordered yet because I could just now order them, but I don't have any dates because that always depends on the pumpkin people. And we'll do our camp out at the same time, the first or second weekend that the pumpkins are here.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody have any questions?
While we have Sandy up, we do have item, a decision for item 4. During the Lantern Festival, we did discuss them actually adding the a dog walk to this event. And so we're just looking for board approval today for them to also add dogs to their festival.
That's really something we have.
Will it be on the streets? Okay, do they have to have a special permit for a parade? Do you know?
I don't know.
They don't block the streets, they
They're
don't block
blocking
traffic.
streets. No,
But I'm just wondering if the county has any laws that said that they
I
can't.
haven't received anything.
Because I was always told they had to be on the sidewalks if they're pedestrians.
Well,
So
that's
maybe
where
we
they
need
are,
to look
on
into
the
that.
side.
So you're sidewalking it, that's what.
Yeah,
she said. They're
Perfect. Oh,
sidewalking.
it says right there?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, not really, but I got it, okay. I
Okay.
have no problem with dogs, I mean.
I don't really think that's something we need to vote on, but honestly.
Okay.
If you wanna take the
General
dogs,
manager.
yeah. Okay, good, you're good, thank you.
Thanks, Sandy. Thanks, Sandy.
Okay, report from Williamson County Sheriff's Office, Deputy Lovato.
Nothing real new in the neighborhood, other than I know you guys had a rash of car burglaries
We did?
here lately.
What
Yeah,
streets?
here in Highland Horizon. Just wanna tell residents again, please lock your vehicles. Don't have anything in there that's showing that you can visibly see. Yeah, I guess this group, we caught them, but after they had stolen a car out of stolen a gun out of somebody's car, and they stole their car, and then the person chased them and they shot at them. So, please don't leave guns in your cars. Please take them out of your vehicles.
Okay, great. So we do have item 29, which I want to go ahead and go into under yours, if you don't mind. It's Neighborhood Watch, the Block Watch Program, and the National Night Out. I'll go to B first. National Night Out, I talked to Boggs about it, and then one of your deputies, I think, is heading up the National Night Out, called me. So we have one confirmed, we have 3 others that are contemplating it, but I will go ahead and send him that address for the one in Beverly. So you can have, it would be great if we could have one of our regular off-duty guys attend it.
Yeah.
You know, that would be really cool, and then we'll let you know also the addresses, but I will turn in that form again with the addresses, okay?
Cool.
And then the Block Watch program, just so you know, I also talked to that same gentleman, and he gave me a lot of information, and we put out already communications to the neighborhood about it. So it's called Neighborhood Watch, but we're kind of doing a spin on it called Block Watch, or Block House. And we've received a lot of people that are interested in it, so we're gonna kind of compile that list. And then my understanding is then whoever's gonna work on it with us in the GM, we will sit down with you and kind of talk about our goals and how we wanna run it, get some advice from you. And then the next step is then we'll bring in the residents, and probably have a presentation by you, and I've got the whole packet and everything that you sent over. And so just know that that's moving forward. We have a lot of residents that are really interested in helping with that.
Sounds good.
Yeah, so that'll be good, so you're up to speed. Okay, anybody have any questions on that?
Did you want to get these approved, are they just information?
I don't think they're-
Should we just?
I don't think there's anything to be decided on, quite honestly.
I didn't see the communication, so what did we use?
It's out on Facebook, social media, I think I saw it on Instagram.
And it also will be included in the newsletter for October, and that
Nice.
track will go to the PR communications, this
Yeah, it's a cute little graphic of the house, and it has they set up an email, it's like Black Watch at Block House, you know, for people to register and stuff.
And at one point, we did have, some watch signs, are those still in?
They're still up, and actually you cannot get them free anymore from Williamson County, but this is much more than just the signs, you know, and that's what we're trying.
Awareness more than anything.
It's awareness, it's also having the pumpkin patch, the community garden, it's having these big events and getting to know your neighbors, it's building community. But it is also then, if we wanna have captains for different parts of the area, and if they wanna kind of go around, if they see anything suspicious, they don't approach them, they reach out to our deputies, so.
Okay.
We've got a whole thing that we'll follow, and, yeah, so, okay, good, thank you. All right, let's go ahead and move on to amenities. Report from Premier, Mark.
All right, thank you. We had a great summer and have started to transition into the off-season. So currently, Tomlinson here is open on Friday evenings and then Saturday and Sunday. And Patchy is open Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then Saturday and Sunday as well. So it's still being used. Have our last water aerobics coming. Unless you want us to extend it, but either way is okay with us. We've had a good turnout. We've consistently had anywhere between 20 and 25 people at water aerobics. So
Great.
that's been a great program.
So how long, when does Tomlinson close?
Tomlinson officially closes September 30th.
Which is another month away, okay.
Correct. So it's still open for another month. As soon as the first cold front comes is when we start seeing the drop off, because the water gets cold quick. But other than that, it should be good. I put on the report a couple things that happened. On August 1st, there was a major power outage in the neighborhood, and I'm sure all of you are aware of that. Unfortunately, somehow at the same time, the pump at Tomlinson, the impeller had broken off the pump. and we didn't figure that out till Tuesday morning, so it wasn't moving water. I was able to locate the pump and get that replaced that same evening, so we were open, back open on Saturday morning. And moved on with that. And then on July 27th, we did have a guard jump in to assist somebody coming off the side. No injury, no anything, just wanted you to be aware of it. They were, came down the side and struggling to make it to the side, and the guard jumped in and assisted them. They were fine and kept going, and kept on going with their day. Any questions for me?
No, I think you're good. All right, thanks, Mark.
Thank you, Mark.
Okay, report from Priority. Trip. Hi.
Evening.
Hi.
Well, we had a pretty uneventful month. Just warm, so everything is drying out pretty good. Nothing really new to report. Next month, we're gonna start the mulching of the property, the fall mulch. That's about all we have coming up for next month.
Okay, we had proposal 7A, but that's already been taken care of, so we don't need to do anything on that, so thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we have number 8, volunteer work within the district. I think we discussed that last month. I don't think there's anything else on that right now, so we're just gonna go ahead and scratch that. We need to bring it back for any reason we can. Number 9, planting of trees at the food forest and the community garden. You know, the 3 individuals spoke at our last meeting. They did a great job giving us an overview of what they've been doing and what they'd like to do. So I'd like to have a motion for, to allow the garden subcommittee to go ahead, meaning the garden people, not the mud subcommittee, go ahead and plant some trees in the community garden. So do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, second?
I'll second.
Okay.
Discuss, right?
Yes, discussion. I'll start with you, Director Young.
Working with them previously, about 6 months ago, I guess it was, talked about boundaries for the garden. I asked them to stake it out what they would like. They put some out there. I notified the board, hey, swing by, take a look before we agree to that. So that's where I thought we were going. But then last month, or the last meeting when they spoke, it seemed that had changed. So I think it's important for the board to define a space where they are. I don't know if this food forest is within which boundary, but I'd like at some point to sooner or later get a boundary. This is where the garden is. If they need more space, then they could add to it. But right now, it's just it's an undefined area in the fence, which I don't think we want to give them all the space, including the building, but I also don't think that we want to really limit them.
Yeah, have you seen the food forest?
Yes, I've seen the food forest.
Okay, so it's very clear where the trees are gonna go. That one quadrant is,
I understand, but we still have not agreed on a boundary, right? It could be at the one that they set up, or that the new one that they proposed. We have not agreed upon a boundary. I would like to agree upon a boundary before, and I'm happy to do that now, or.
well, I honestly don't think we're ready. I think I'd like to get some feedback from them on a boundary. But tonight we're discussing putting trees in that 4th quadrant, which is already established. I walked you through it. It's inside where you thought the boundary was gonna be, so it's not really concerned for that, but that's where the trees are gonna go. So that's what we're discussing right now, so is that?
Yeah, so I think we can agree that food forest area can be in their garden boundary, and then we'll figure out the rest of the dimensions
Okay.
soon.
Yeah, Director Roberts, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I just would like to know what type of trees. I don't recall what they were putting in.
Mhm.
I mean, to make sure they're actually relevant trees for the area and things like that. Do you know what those are?
So do you know if they're gonna be all native? I think it was probably in their packet or their discussion. It is gonna be some fruit trees, it's gonna be trees that do well here, and it's gonna help support and actually give cover to the rest of that circular food forest
As long
area.
as that consideration's
Yeah.
done.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, Director Johnson?
No questions.
Okay, Director Shoemaker?
No questions.
Okay, great. I do know one thing, that they were asking for was a little bit of help with they're gonna purchase the trees, is help with the, irrigation there. And I know we don't have that in the budget right now. Maybe that's something, once we really narrow down our budget, we can look at. But I think, as I discussed, they could do those big barrels, you know, the big barrels that we have, and do the watering that way for the time being to establish those trees, so. Okay, so, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, no one opposed. Let's move on. Market Day at the Community Garden, for October 5th. So I just wanna know, we're trying to do the first Saturday of every month. So do I need to bring this, or can we just approve the first Saturday of every month? And we'll see how it goes, you know, maybe January, February, you know, those may not be good months for it. We have some, great vendors for the 7th, that live in Blockhouse. I mean, I've met some amazing people that just do, like this one lady has a chai tea, company, so it's really cool. It's like gonna be some of the same vendors, but then a whole bunch more new ones, so really fun. So okay, so I don't think there's any approval for that, then we can just move forward with the first Saturday.
Can I make some comments?
Mhm.
We're looking at, like, I love the idea that we're doing just Blockhouse. There's been a vendor living in Leander that also wants to access and rent out. I think we're doing that, so we've got,
I don't think we're renting out a community garden plot to anybody.
not a plot, but one of the spaces
For what? For the market?
for one of the markets, right?
Yeah, no, we do have a couple that are outside of, they're in Leander, but they're not residents. And it's just because like nobody in Blockhouse can have eggs. So we have Leander Lavender, that is a very well-known vendor that goes to a lot of the markets, and so she'll be there. So we have a few of them, but we're trying to focus on Blockhouse.
So my concern is, I think we need to do this one way or another. Like, if we're gonna allow vendors from outside of the community to come in and spend money to rent a space in our park space, right, I'm fine with that. But that also means that maybe the district doesn't need to spend so much money on funding their activities and different things like that. If we're gonna keep it all within the district, I would like to augment their budget, getting them some dirt or some mulch and stuff like that. But I think that when we're bringing in people from outside of the district, you know, we might start getting more, and they may start making more money, you know, having a big, a big market and having a lot of money coming in. And then we're funding it, and residents from outside, you know, non-residents are gonna be funding it. Like, I'd like us to define how this garden is going to be, and are we okay with both funding their projects and them taking money in for space in their markets?
Yeah, I don't understand how we're funding them.
They've asked for funding for certain items, irrigation. We are paying for their water.
Okay, I think you're talking about two different things. We're talking about vendors for the marketplace.
Right.
You're talking about outside people wanting irrigation and water.
No, the community garden is gonna be hosting this,
Right.
right? We are funding the community garden, even if it's just, I mean, I know we spent some money on dirt recently, we're spending money on water, right? Are we going to also be taking outside of the district funds from whoever wants to do that? I would like to think that we would limit it to either this is just strictly a community, a district thing, or is it going to become bigger than that? And if it becomes bigger than that, I think the mud should not be, you know, spending, we should be charging them for the water, different things like that.
I guess I'm not following you, because if somebody from outside is coming in to sell something, we're not paying for their water, we're not paying for their soil.
The community garden is collecting money from them, or the district is.
From whom?
From the outside vendors.
No, we're not. No, we're not charging for you to have a booth there.
Okay, so all the booths are free, because as I understood it, they were wanting a bank account so that vendors that were there can contribute to.
Yeah, and we
Garden,
haven't worked through that yet. No, because this is only our second one, we wanted to see if it was even popular, and we're even thinking, maybe we do charge like $20 to have a booth there, but we're not there yet, and that's something we can discuss, but we're not funding any of the vendors, and we're not taking any money from the vendors. Now, what we did say the first time was, any money that some of the vendors raised, it would be great to give a donation back to the community garden, because the community gardeners, myself included, have probably given over $1,000 for soil and other things. And we did, a handful of the vendors gave it back to, this pot that has spent their own personal money. So right now, the MUD is not spending any money on outside vendors, but we can continue that discussion. We just put together a nice form so we know who is registering, so we don't have 20 people selling salsas. It has to be homemade, it can't be resale items like Scentsy or anything like that. In this Leander Lavender group, they're just so well known and so respected, and they have honey, they have just some things that residents wanted that we couldn't find anybody, like in eggs and such. So we're very selective in who we are allowing in.
And I'm not asking for a decision right now, but I believe what we're doing at this point is our parks have been residents only and guests of the residents. So if we get 50 booths in the garden center from outside of the district, it's no longer a resident-only park.
Yeah, and that is not the goal. And I will be happy to give you guys a breakdown of percentage of the in-district vendors versus outside the district vendors. But it's our goal, and every time I communicate with them, because I'm the one that they're reaching out to, it's like, do you live in Blockhouse? What are you selling? We're being very selective right now, but I hear what you're saying. We don't want to have 50 outside vendors in Blockhouse. The whole point is to create community within Blockhouse.
With our neighbors.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's good clarification. Thank you.
Okay, good. Director Johnson?
No questions.
Director Shoemaker?
No comments.
Okay, great. Then we're gonna move on. Spooky night at the garden and night disc golf events. So the disc golf group reached out to me and they wanted to do nighttime disc golf. It went really well the other night. I was out there. And then the community garden reached out to me and they wanted to do something for the kids, like to come in and do a little trick or treat and kind of decorate the community garden spooky. So those two groups kind of wanted to do it together on the same night. They're looking at, I think it's October 24th. I already checked with the PTA.
26.
Okay, I already checked with the PTA at Blockhouse Elementary. It's not gonna be when they're doing trunk or treat. So those two groups will work on it and there's no expense to us. We just wanna let you know. Of course, we'll work with security so that they know, but it won't be late. Okay,
Sounds fine.
all right, awesome. Move on to change of park hours. So I believe Lisa sent out the survey results.
Nancy sent those out in the supplemental packet today.
Okay, so,
Ooh, I did not see
Did
that.
you print those out? Sean?
I think I have
Because, around me, I don't do the computer.
so does anybody have a recommendation on the park hours, if it's different from what they are now?
I say leave them like they are. I think the majority said that they were fine.
Okay,
I think we need to try a 10 PM close on all parks. And I'm not sure how we can interpret data as being, most people said that they were fine because when I take a look at it, there's a clear majority that wanted extended. Some of those were around the clock, and some were until later, like when we closed the sports courts.
okay, so do I have a motion? Robert, do you want to direct
I'll
your?
make a motion, leave them where they are.
And I have a motion to
Well,
extend
I
the
need to
hours.
see if I have a second one.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, we need to dispose of Director Roberts' motion first. I'm fine. I'll second Director Roberts' motion for discussion.
Okay.
So your motion was to keep the hours as they are?
Yeah. 'cause-
Okay, so
Yeah.
we're gonna do discussion on keep the hours as they are. I'm gonna start with Director Shoemaker.
Yeah, I don't know if the current hours are quite right. I don't know if, but I think a lot of the problems with hours revolve around the gate issues. I think a while back I mentioned we need to kind of have some kind of work group about how the gates are dealt with at Umano, gate locking issues, right? And I think also, I just think in the summer having somewhat later hours would be better. I don't think the existing hours as they stand in their totality are exactly what we need.
Okay, Director Johnson.
Yeah, just looking, I agree with you, Director Shoemaker, but setting aside my thoughts on the park hours for a minute, I see 3 questions pertaining to the park hours in the survey, right? The first one is the amenities on page 5, I think, of the
supplemental packet, right? And overwhelmingly, it says keep the courts lit lit until 10, right? Overwhelmingly. The next one says park hours, amenities without lighting, such as Tonkawa jogging loop. To me, it does say more of people have closed them at sundown, which is what we currently do. Not overwhelmingly, but certainly there's not a mandate for one way or the other to me. And then the green space one, close at dusk, which is what they currently do. Again, more overwhelmingly, but I don't know that I'd say that's a huge majority. But there doesn't, I'm not sure which question doesn't, sorry, let me rephrase that. I'm not sure which question indicates that people want it to change, at least overwhelmingly. Certainly some people want them, at certain times. And I will also say, back to my own opinion, I think that things like the Tonkawa jogging loop, I don't want the deputies and Deputy Lovato, we've talked about this before. I love the way you do it now. If they're just walking through Tumlinson, we don't kick them out, right? If they're just walking through. And I like that, but I want rules to reflect that. I want the deputies to be able to enforce. I want the rules to reflect what we do. But beyond that, I don't know that the survey calls for change. That's it.
Okay, Director Torres, you Director Shoemaker?
Yes.
Okay, and Robert, you already spoke, right?
No, yeah.
All right,
When it's
Director Young.
discussion time. So there are 3 questions, and I want to be clear. I think that amenities with weddings at 10 p.m. close, I think that's overwhelmingly. I'd like to keep those hours the same. But then there are 2 other questions. The jogging loop. We've got 37% of residents that want to keep the dusk hours, which means we've got 63%, which is significantly more, that want to extend them. Either keep them open around the clock or extend them until 10 p.m.
Fair enough.
It doesn't even say 10 p.m., but it does say same time as the lighted amenities, which we're closing at 10 p.m. So I think that there is a, interpreting the data on the second question about park hours, I think there's a clear indicator that residents want extended hours, not tied to the sundown, but tied to when the lighted amenities close. And then I think maybe on the third question, it's a little less clear because we've got 43% to keep it the same, and we've got 57% extended. So maybe we consider a 1 hour after sundown or something like that. But we're also going to be looking into that block watch program. So we will have people monitoring, available to monitor the green space and the amenities without lighting.
Okay. Director Roberts, did you speak? Okay, and Director Roberts.
So, I think that dawn to dusk goes along with time change. And so basically in the winter, it's gonna be dark at 5:30, So you've got to remember, if you've left them open to 10, you're inviting more trouble in the dark. It's just, you're inviting more encouragement of go ahead and do what you need to do. And I think you've gotta have a good set of rules, but I like the way they are enforcing now. People walk their dogs, they're really not troublemakers, but you've gotta have some type of rule that says, I'm sorry, but the park is closed and you're over here graffitiing the walls. That's criminal mischief, I get that. But it's something that kind of detours a little bit of the behavior of some people. Not everybody is a bad person. It's just those few people that make a bad apple out of a bushel, So I think we're fine the way it is. I think that people are still using the parks even until 10 o'clock. I live across the street from it and I see it all the time. And they're probably there to midnight sometimes. But, so I don't think we have an issue. I think that it's implied now that they do close at dark and then you've got to re-sign everything. So that's an expense to the district that we don't have right now.
Sorry, it's not implied, it's
Well, but
explicitly.
It's on the signs.
Right.
Yeah, and so I think you gotta expense that. So I think everything's fine personally, to tell you the truth. I don't think we have that much of an issue at this point.
Okay, so,
Can I do a motion on
I
extending? the
haven't,
park hours?
I haven't had a chance to speak yet.
Okay.
So, originally, Director Roberts, you were kind of pointing at the data, and the data is actually a little different, as, Robert pointed out. So, and when you're saying 5:30, I think that's when a lot of people, when they're working and they're just getting home at 5:30, they do want to be able to go play around a disc golf, or they do want to be able to go jog around, And I agree with Director Johnson, our rules need to match what we're saying. So I think it would be good to keep the 2 open till 10. And I have seen the graffiti happen even when we have these rules, and it hasn't deterred that. And it's something that's not set in stone. I mean, if we have a horrible rash of stuff going on, we can always change it back. And I was in Colorado Springs a couple months ago, and was going through the Garden of the Gods, which is a beautiful municipal park, and they're open till like 11 at night. And they've got all kinds of places you can drive around and do different things with. And actually, Colorado Springs is one of the best cities for parks and trails. And all of them are open much later than what ours are. So, it's working over here. I just think there's a need for people, especially in the wintertime. It wasn't that big of a deal during the summer, because it would get dark at 9 or so. But I think we should give it a try. So that's my point. So let's go ahead and vote on Cecilia's. All in favor of keeping it as is?
Can I ask a question? I'm sorry. Can I, before you do that, is there a way to splice it a little bit more detailed? Like, I don't know. I'm thinking leave the trail open, through Tumlinson and the path all the way back to the sport courts, but not necessarily the whole park. Like Chance Field is not open till midnight or something. You know what I mean? I just wonder if maybe some of the differences could be if we were a little more granular with our rule. I'm not particularly looking forward to changing all the signs, but I just wonder if that might not get us all on the same page. If we could, articulate that the jogging trail or the paths, are open later, which is what we do now. That's not a change to policy. It's just a change of the rule, the piece of paper, right?
Yes.
And the signage.
I'd like to point out that
And the signage,
before
yes,
we
of
took office, we did have an incident where somebody was playing, a father and daughter were playing softball practice in Chance Field as the sun was going down, and they were shoot off before, and they were the innocent, they weren't graffiti, they weren't doing anything wrong, but they were asked to leave the park before the sun was entirely down, because we know there's still some light where you can still collect your baseballs and finish up what you're doing. So I'm afraid that rule followers are not gonna come and walk in the park, where people that know that they won't get kicked out, they might go walk in the park. I think we need to align the park hours with what people are doing and what the residents have responded on the survey.
Okay, and may I make a comment to David's comment? David, I agree with what you're saying. I think it needs to align with the use. I also think that if we're gonna do a survey, the majority is the majority. Don't add up the other 2 questions and give a percentage. I think that's kind of misleading. But I also think that you're gonna have the playscapes, and you're gonna allow people to hang out, and teenagers, and you're just inviting trouble, is what I'm thinking, if it's at dark, especially in the winter. And I think that people, the good people are not gonna do anything bad. We know that, as you said, the rule followers. The rules are set up for people to have a guideline, here's what needs to happen. And so I certainly concur with Director Johnson. I think that if we just align the rules without having to expense the cost of going back in and making new signs, because that's gonna be expensive.
Okay, so I'm just gonna say one more thing, and that's,
Director Logan?
pardon me?
Can I make a quick comment?
Sure.
2 things. One, majority is 50% plus 1. When there's 3, the highest one's a plurality. 2, if we're going to have rules, they need to be expressed in a way that residents can know. And if the residents don't see it on the signs. I get the expense, but how are they going to know?
Right,
I mean,
okay,
they're going to read our minds. I mean, they got to figure it out somehow. Anyway, that's my view.
okay. So I want to make 2 final points. So Cecilia, when you're saying the majority, yes, there was 43% that want it closed at dark. But, and I'm looking at the green space one, but there was 28% that wanted it to match at 10 and 28% that want it always open. You do have to add those two together. That's,
I think maybe the questions were just misleading in that we should
Well-
probably put 2. in
well, I mean,
instead
that's,
of 3.
I think we're trying to split hairs there, but,
I mean, we're
but
talking-
it is saying the majority of residents from this do want them open later. My other point is that people that are going to cause mischief and go do things, having it close at 10 o'clock is not gonna prevent them from doing it.
I agree, but I do want to make a last comment. So out of 7 or 8,000 people, 612, or 2,200, 612 responded. So
Okay, but
that's really
think
not
about
the
it.
majority of the residents.
That, you can't use 7 or 8,000 people. It was one
No,
per
I mean,
household.
Well,
One
out of
per household.
2,100 homes,
Yeah.
612 have responded.
Right.
So we're taking a decision on.
We are, and that's the highest we've ever had, and we're never gonna get 100%
I
done.
agree with that, but,
Respectfully, I believe that we all tried to encourage everybody that we know.
but only
did everybody.
612 responded.
And then those are the people the people that didn't respond, even, there are people that responded to some questions but not others.
Well, I
But
get
they
it.
basically
No, and
wanted
my
to leave it
point
up to
is
the rest.
this, out of 2,172 people, 612 responded.
Yeah, and I think that's fantastic, it's the best we've ever had, so, okay, let's go ahead and call for a vote, because we could discuss this all night. All in favor of just keeping them as is and not making any changes?
Aye.
All against? Nay?
Nay,
Nay.
Okay,
I have a motion.
okay, Director Young, what's your motion?
My motion is to keep the amenities with lighting such as the sports courts, keep them closed at 10. I would like us to adjust the park hours on a temporary basis. We can set a time, see how things go, but I would like those park hours to be also set to 10 o'clock. I would like our park hours for the green space to be extended 30 minutes to an hour, so that people that are in the green space got a little time while the sun continues going down. And then during this time, I would, if we do make a change to the park hours, ultimately, I'd like us to take down the signs after 3 months of collecting data, hearing back from the deputies. Then if we agree on a permanent timing for these, we can take a look at closing Chancefield at 9 or whatever. We can make adjustments later, but for now, take down the closed signs and go with that. Same on lighted, 10 PM, along with the lighted at all the amenities like the jogging loop, disc golf course, the garden, and then extend green space by 30 minutes to an hour.
Okay, can I amend your emotion? I agree, I would like to kind of keep it simple, because somebody's gonna remember, was it 9:30 here, was it a half hour here? And the deputies, so just let me give you an idea, can we just do 10 PM across the board for all of them? Do not take down signs right now, because it is going to be a cost, and there's other information on those signs, so, you know, we could always do like a tape or something, we have done that before, with phone numbers, and let's do a trial run, and stay in communication with your guys and see, I mean, most of your guys are here around 10 anyways, I mean, like right now, I've been closing them at 10 o'clock, you know, so, but I don't wanna go and start removing stuff yet, that's kind of a permanent thing. Let's do like maybe, and it's kind of hard to do 6 months just right here in the winter time, so let's maybe do, a year, unless something really is, you know, we really see a huge trend.
Okay.
So, is that, okay?
Yeah, that's okay. We should also include gates lock at 10 PM as well.
Well, that's part of when the parks close, that's how you kind of know the parks are closed. Okay, so you've got that amended motion, do you want a second my amended, or
I'll second it.
however you do that, okay. So I don't know if that's clear to you, Jonathan Shoemaker?
Well, just a clarification question. So basically, it's everything closes at 10.
Yes, and we're not gonna remove anything as far as, the signs. We may put a
Sticker on top.
sticker over it that says 10 PM. I think we should do some communications with residents to let them know that this is what we're trying to do. It's a trial, and we'll work with security and, go from there. So,
And it's, what did we say the trial period was? I mean, obviously, if something happens, then we can change it at any moment, but,
Yeah.
what was the proposed trial period?
To revisit the topic.
yeah, well, I can't do it during winter time because it's such a difference, so I would like to do it for a full year unless we have some real serious issues going on that we can bring it back. We can bring it back in 3 months if we need to. So, is that clear as much?
Yes.
So revisit
No.
in 1 year, but we can always revisit sooner.
Yes, yes. Okay, all in favor of that amended
We
motion?
need discussion.
Oh, I'm sorry, Director Roberts.
Yeah, so if y'all are doing this as a temporary, you understand you have to post and publicize your park rule changes. That's an expense in your attorney. So you're doing a trial run and you're already spending money by changing the rules and having those posted. And if it doesn't work, then you're right back to spending money again. And I think we've all learned our lesson this year on how we spend our money. So I think we need to be a little bit more prudent and wise about it. But I don't see any issue with the way it is right now. I think we're spending a lot of time and energy over something that doesn't really need a change.
Okay. Can you throw out a ballpark, how much is this gonna cost to update the rules?
I actually looked at the park rules earlier today. I think it's just a single line in there, so I think it should.
It's not gonna be a significant cost. Okay,
And you have to publicize them.
yeah.
Yeah, there's a
Okay.
publication.
Director Shoemaker,
No questions.
Director Johnson,
No questions.
Director Young?
No questions.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Right.
I'm sorry, Shoemaker, was that an aye?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I do really want to work on the communications and with you on this and, we'll go from there, okay?
What's the start date we're planning on this?
Let's give them a chance to work on the communication and, go out and do the tape and stuff, so maybe give us a couple of weeks or,
One week? I'll
well,
go
it may be
put some
more than that.
stickers up and we need
Well,
to
no,
send out
that
an
would be
email.
Travis to do that.
Can't do that.
Yeah.
There's an opportunity, at least a couple of weeks.
Yeah, so let's say at least by the September meeting,
I
okay?
think it'd be wise
September
for us,
11th?
for us to go out and audit every park to make sure we don't miss anything.
Okay.
And I think that would be a couple of.
Yeah, we want to do this right, so by the regular meeting in September, okay? Because we do need to get communications out and, okay?
The regular meeting or the September?
The
11th?
regular meeting.
Okay.
So, like, 4 full weeks. Okay, thank you. Report from amenities subcommittee, we really don't have anything to report, we've already, that was, one of them, and then, we haven't met, and we've already talked about some of the
Yeah,
other things coming on.
I've got some questions. I'd like to talk about amenities. There we go. On the disc golf course, we've been talking about having a guide for volunteers, what anybody can do. They sign the waiver, and can they, remove dead branches that are hand clipper, available? Can they remove, poison ivy? Can they remove garbage, stuff like that? I would like to get a guideline published for them, sign this waiver. Can we get a, directive for the GM to work on that?
Yeah, did you all read my, thing that I took from Wells Branch on focus groups, which is volunteers? Did you all take a look at that? Anyone? Any director?
I do.
Yes.
Okay, so I think that is helpful. I do think we should have some guidelines. Actually, Director Young, if you wanna, take a stab at a draft of that and send it over to the GM.
I'd be happy to do that.
Okay, I think that's good, because you don't want people out there doing certain things. And we do wanna know when they sign up.
When you write the draft, please keep in mind the budget. Because when you're taking down branches and vines and you're creating piles, for us to have to pay the landscaper to go out and remove those items, we don't have a budget for it. So these are things that if they're gonna volunteer, they're gonna go in and do the entire volunteer of it. They're gonna have to dispose of everything that they're looking at. So if you wanna if you're a subcommittee member, you wanna write that down, you wanna send it to us, as long as it goes and flow with the budget itself, we don't wanna add anything to it, it's gonna be tight.
Yeah, I understand that. I do wanna see on the other side of it is some of the volunteer work, like the vines and the other stuff, we're actually saving money, because down the road, we're gonna have to do that with fire breaks and different things.
Yes.
So let's just start with this and then see where we go. We can massage it and play with it, but okay, so that's a
And I-
kind of directive. Yes.
I like that as well, Director Young, because it'll mean that, fewer of those discussions, can they do this, can they do that, come to this meeting, right? So I'm definitely in favor of that.
Okay, good deal. Awesome.
Next item, erosion control on the disc golf course, both.
Where's that at?
He's under amenities, and he's just adding it. So, can we talk about this? I mean, I know it's amenities, but we don't really have a line item.
I don't have the ability to meet with the subcommittee and discuss this. It was told to bring it to the meetings. We can discuss these items as a board. This is the amenities section of it. I'd like to talk about erosion control in the Mono disc golf course.
You absolutely do have the ability to work with the subcommittee. So that's not a true statement. Yes, it's amenities, but we usually do have to be pretty clear on discussions that we're talking about. And here's the reason why, because the resident could say, I didn't realize you were gonna talk about erosion control, and then maybe we want to be here and hear it. I think we did talk about erosion control a little bit during budget, but so Sean, can you help me out? Can we discuss this? If not, can we put it on the agenda for next month?
I mean, if we're gonna talk about something with that sort of specificity, I think it should be noticed. What agenda item are we?
Okay, we're on 13. It just says report from amenities subcommittee, and it's really not a report from the amenities subcommittee, but it's items that Robert wants to discuss. So I think we need to add it to the next agenda. And so you said you had a couple, so erosion control and what else?
Well, we got the footbridges from the old Tumlinson Playscape. Those are inside the Mono fence.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the intention there was for having a footbridge going over where maybe a trench goes that allows the water to go to a single place. We're losing a lot of the mulch from.
So this is your erosion control thing?
Yeah.
Okay, we need to add that to the next agenda.
Right.
May I have a recommendation? Why don't you put a memorandum together, give that to the GM, and let them put this on the agenda?
And
And
the
put your
subcommittee
reasons
member.
why, and that way the full board's got all of the understanding of what you're asking.
That's a good idea.
And please reference the budget.
Yes, please do, yeah. I think that would just help Robert, so that we're not,
Yeah, and I'm happy to reference budget, but everything I'm talking about here doesn't require any budget.
Okay, so can we just, whatever else you have, put it in the memo, and we'll put it in our packet for next month and discuss it, okay?
One moment. All right, yep, we're good.
Wonderful. PR and Communications Subcommittee, do you all have anything?
no, the voter's coming out.
Okay, especially,
I just talked with Mr. Stanfield. One of the things going back and on the videos, looking up topics, we don't always know when Tumlinson Park Playscape was discussed in a meeting or not. So what I've done is I've asked him if he would be able to tag with any of the unusual topics, not the day-to-day, whatever we're doing. That way, if anybody comes in wanting to talk about budget and get updated, even though we've already discussed it in the previous two meetings, it would have a budget tag. He said there's no additional cost on that.
Just time.
so, I hate to sound like a broken record, and this is a great topic, and I absolutely agree with you, but again, it's not on the agenda. So,
PRCom's report?
it's not from your report from your subcommittee, and it's not the new special events, it's not the newsletter.
Has to be posted for the public to know that it is discussion.
Yeah.
They need to know specifically what the board is going to be talking about.
Okay, let's take a look at the agenda, some other items that are very vague. I mean, Spooky Night and Garden at Night disc golf events, like,
That's very clear.
what is that specific? Like, Spooky Night, is it
Okay,
a haunted house, is it trick or treating?
Robert, I'm gonna stop this right now.
Director Young, just real quick here. So look, the Open Meetings Act, like, for example, our discussion we just had about the volunteers with the guidelines was part of the committee report, but it was also under item 9, volunteer work in the district. But there's nothing on here about erosion control, that it's not a report of the subcommittee. We don't have it as an item. It needs to be added because we could, by violating the Open Meetings Act, we can invalidate actions we've taken. We have to abide by that when we are meeting in the meeting with those items on the agenda.
I'll put up a memo. I'm good.
And please, if you have these items, send them over to Nancy and to Lisa so they can also be on the agenda, okay? Because some of these are great topics. It's not that I disagree with the topics, but we've got to do it the right way. Okay, now we're going to move on. Nothing else in that. Resident survey. We kind of went over that a little bit. Is there anything else, the subcommittee or GM, that you want to discuss on this?
One of the questions, all right, maybe this is out of bounds again, let me know, but one of the questions on the resident survey, which we can talk about each of the individual topics, right?
Yes.
One of those was would the resident like to be on an emergency list? And yes, put my email on there. The thing about emergencies is they never happen when you expect them to, right? I would like us to make sure, get a test, like collect all those emails, get an email sent out to residents, and then verify that that stuff is working. That way, when an emergency does happen, we need to communicate, hey, we're doing a branch pickup, or if you're out of power, then, you know, here's where to go to help other people out, stuff like that. So, what about giving a directive to aggregate all those email addresses and send out a test?
I don't want my email on that list, and I'm just gonna make a comment. Crossroad already sends out emails if there's an emergency. They have that database, but it's a confidential database. So I think we just continue to let Crossroads manage that side like they did in the past. They did this during the freeze, and so it worked just fine.
Well, during the freeze and after the freeze, when I found myself out there looking at making sure, verifying that they were residents, I think that's something that residents would have liked to have helped out on. And it would have been nice for the volunteer people of the community, like, hey, I've got a truck, I can, you know, let me know where you're at, I can pick it up. If they had a group where they can communicate with, I think that would be great.
But
because
they do have it. It's called Neighbors.
Yeah, but
Everybody uses it.
You know what? I think we can incorporate that into the block watch. And I do know that the OA and the MUD are working on a list of volunteers because we've had a lot of volunteers reach out recently. So that's kind of already growing. So let's try to incorporate into block watch.
that'd be great.
Okay, good deal. The one thing
Can I
Pardon
comment on
me?
this real quick? Director Logan, can you
Yes.
hear me? Okay.
Yes.
Sorry, there's a lot of background noise here. Two things you might want to look into on that is, on top of incorporating in the block watch, is I think Cedar Park, they used to do something called CERT. It was like a citizen emergency response. But some of the emergency organizations like TDEM and stuff have information about mutual aid and setting up these kind of groups locally. So we may want to have someone like the GM maybe reach out to those folks for information as well, because that may be something we can add to the block watch is information about mutual aid and disaster.
Lisa, you do that, don't you?
Okay, that's a great thing, and we'll look into it with the block watch. One thing on the survey I just wanted to mention is there was a question on Humano, the bulk item drop-offs versus the free pickups. I just want to let the board know, Director Roberts and the GM and I are working with TDS. We're getting the numbers. We got some today, and we're really going to drill down on this. So we will bring this back at the September 11th meeting, and we will address a specific question here. Okay, so hold on to this, bring it back next month, okay? Director Johnson, do you have anything to add, or can we move on?
I would only ask that as you're looking at it, as you, Director Logan, and Director Roberts are looking at it, you may have already thought of this. I think we discussed it a little bit last time, but the idea of perhaps being able to pay one-off for those extra services, at least the option for us to consider, I don't know if it's the right idea, would certainly, I think, be valuable. So, food for thought.
Yeah, we've asked that question a couple times. We're still waiting for that answer for the one-off. But no, that's excellent, excellent point. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and move on. It's 7:34 and we need to keep moving on. Restricted covenants,
We are under a very severe weather alert.
okay, restricted covenants, guys, do you have anything, to add or that we need to discuss on this?
No, nothing this month. There will be, depending on how the August not patrols, that's the wrong word. The August pictures come in. There might be a number of things that we're going to discuss in September,
Okay,
but
thanks for the
nothing in
heads
August.
up. Thank you very much. Finance and audit, report from Matt. Tyler, do we have you online?
Yes, I'm here. Good evening, everybody. I'm going to start with the bookkeeping reports. Checks being approved today are checks 9042 through 9085. There were 2 additional checks that I sent out on that supplemental packet. We have 3 transfers, transfers to the manager's account to pay bills and tax transfers. We have the same 3 CDs that we've been holding on to for a little while. 2 of them are at 5.5% interest. 1 of them's at 5.25. A majority of the district's funds are in taxable, which is at 5.3. For tax collections, we're at 99.34% collected, which is really good. And only other comment I have is the 5-year budget or the 5-year cash flow that's at the back of the report has been updated with the amended budget that we approved in July.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve payment of bills and fund transfers?
Motion.
Anyone?
Second.
Great, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Director Young?
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much. Credit card payments for facility rentals, where are we in that? Oh, actually during our bills and invoices meeting, he updated us, right? That you're still working on the data privacy aspect of it?
Right, I reached out to First Citizens after our meeting and they said they're still working on it. I don't really have a timeline, but they are working on it.
Okay, fantastic.
Actually, if I can, I did receive the Safer Payments card stopper. I do have all of that information. IQ Payment Processing did send us over an actual information email or policy. I'll send that over to Sean. It's vague, and so it just asks for really just to fill in the blank. It does cover the policy in its full extent, so we'll be able to get that over, but we did receive all of that today.
Awesome, good news. That's exciting. Maybe we'll have it up and running before we rent out the next batch of community gardens. Okay. Bank account for market days at community garden. I think we need to hold on to that. I do want to talk to the garden subcommittee a little bit more and maybe the subcommittee here. Director Young, we'll meet on that. I think that we need to kind of break that down a little bit and see how we want to do that. What do you think?
Is there a specific garden subcommittee now? 'Cause I thought it was just, I mean, there's amenities and we've got that, but then there's also like an ad hoc for the survey, or do we have an ad hoc community garden?
It's you and I.
Okay. Nothing to add.
Okay, so is that all right with everyone? Okay. Report from Finance and Audit Subcommittee. Director Johnson, we don't really have anything on that, do we?
No, our focus obviously is mostly the budget. So.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, good. David Gray.
Yes, thank you. I'll be brief. You got a good update on FM, so I'll just pass on that. Just note that our recreational bond issue is in process at TCQ, and also the Thomason Playscape is the first project we anticipate funding out of that. There was a update that came from Trent this afternoon. It didn't make it in the packet. I'm not sure who all saw it, but they're in the process of working on plans and anticipate wrapping those up in September. I'm going to suggest that I don't recall what subcommittee we have working on the bond issue and the park stuff.
I think that was Director Young and I.
Okay.
We were working with Trent.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to suggest, and we can follow up later on that, but I'm going to suggest we might want to consider having a meeting, Trent and I, and your financial advisor, never to exclude Sean, to kind of get an update on kind of where that's going and what we're looking like going forward.
Okay.
If it's all right, I'll reach out, have my office reach out and try to get something.
Will you send what Trent sent over today to all the directors so they could see that? Because that was kind of exciting, the new rendition.
Yes, and the pictures that he provided are actually now on the website as well, just keeping up with the project update.
Awesome.
At least I didn't
Looks
mean
good.
to exclude you
No,
from
no,
the
you're good.
subcommittee, I apologize.
Okay, anything else?
No, that's really it, that's the issues, and I don't want to belabor tonight, y'all got a lot on your agenda
Okay,
about the bonds we're moving forward, so.
yeah,
All
good.
right, I'll follow with y'all on
Okay,
that.
Director Roberts.
Yeah, feedback I'm getting from some of the residents is they've got some good input. And so I think we probably should have a nice little town hall before we finalize all this. And they're out there working effortlessly, and we have to get them to revise some things.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. I think
Agree.
we're supposed to do that anyways.
We'll bring that up in the subcommittee meeting.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
Thank you.
If
it's all right, I'll excuse myself.
Yes, please do. Please go home and be safe.
Thank you.
Thank you, David. Director Johnson and Director Shoemaker, do you have anything?
No.
No.
Great. Crossroads Utilities, Ben.
Good evening, I will be quick as well. Short report this month. I'm happy to report that as of August 19th, we met all of TCEQ's compliance for the lead and copper. So all of the inventory, survey, field work, verification, all that's complete. And that was before the October 16th deadline.
Great job.
So,
Is that schools and daycares as well?
so that's not the schools is on that 5-year plan, I know. But we as a neighborhood have verified all the pipes and did the tricky work, and that's completed, so.
I just heard Sean Brow.
I know, there's a lot of people that are growling about it. In the write-offs, I just have 2 for approval. There was an error on the packet. It should not say 541.29 total. It should be 397.29 for the total. It's gonna be 1 for a homeowner that moved out of $146. We tried to courtesy call him, email him, no response, and then a renter who moved out of the neighborhood for $250.70.
Okay, do you have a motion to approve the write-offs?
A motion.
Do you have a second? Okay, any discussion?
Yeah, on these rentals, maybe while we're doing a new rate order, we might want to consider increasing some of the tenant deposits to cover some of these when they do leave, because I don't remember what it is in the rate order. But we shouldn't have to eat their, because they just had to walk their bill.
I don't recall a specific one for renters, but yeah, that's a good point. Okay, we can discuss that
I
when
was
that
just
comes
a
up.
thought.
Well, I think tenant deposits of all sorts, I don't think have been tweaked in years, so we can take
Yeah,
that.
no,
That's a good
good,
idea.
yeah,
I
okay,
think, yeah, the homeowner and the renter deposit are the same currently.
okay, all right, we'll take a look at that.
Awesome. And then lastly, I just an update from Ernie with
I
AT&T.
think we need to vote on the write-off motion.
Oh, I thought we did, oh, you're right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Sorry, Dan.
And then,
sorry.
with Ernie, I contact him about twice a month. They're still just waiting. Hopefully he's not, lying to me about them not starting. Hopefully I'm contacting the right guy, but I do think it's interesting that he keeps saying nothing is happening, but, I will contact somebody else at AT&T, because what I don't want to happen is something sneaks up on us and somebody gets the bid and I wasn't notified and Ernie wasn't notified, so I will keep exploring those avenues.
Okay, Director Roberts has a
Just a
question.
little bit of knowledge, there were 3 AT&T vehicles over here by Apache, Comanche, Apache. That's the big, where the flag is, that's Apache Park, right?
No, it's Comanche.
Comanche, it was right there where, and I didn't know what it was, but I know that he mentioned section 1 was the next one.
Mhm.
So that could be what they were doing.
Okay, then I will explore that.
And they were over at the, by the school too,
Okay,
so.
I'll get on that. And if you guys don't have any more questions for me, that's all I have for tonight.
Yeah, thank you very much. You too.
Thanks, Ben.
TDS, as I mentioned, Director Roberts and I are working with the GM and Jamar. We'll have more on this on the September 11th, but we are expecting to have some changes there. Stormwater, we don't have anything up on that. Best practices relating to installation of chicken coop. The subcommittee, meaning the residents, they would like to have chickens. They do not want us to spend any taxpayer money on it. They will raise the funds. I talked to them, they know it's about $7,000 or $8,000 to do the thing with Brady and, best practices and such. And it's not really a high priority right now. They said that actually getting the trees in is a higher priority, so that's on hold for right now. And report from Services Subcommittee, Director Shoemaker and Director Roberts, do you have anything on that?
No.
Okay.
Correct?
That's
Director
correct.
Shoemaker?
Okay, so let's go on to the GM report.
My memo's in the supplemental packet, I don't have any other to add at the current moment.
No request for use of facilities. Okay, we talked about Block Watch, National Night Out, chicken coops we just talked about. Repair and replacement for the ATV Ranger for park use.
So, I actually had brought this to your attention at the budget meeting. We do need to get the ATV replaced. It's $5,400 to get a new motor, installed. And so the sooner we get that done, the quicker Travis can get back out actually taking on the.
So should it be in this year's budget or next year's? I mean, I know we don't have money in this year's, right?
It's a matter of that if we get this into Polaris Ranger, because Crossroads can't do the work, it will probably be billed in the new fiscal year, but we need to get this Ranger in there to them. If we wait until October, we're not gonna have it back till January.
Okay, so do I have a motion for them to go ahead and proceed, instead of buying a new one at 20 plus, just to fix it at 5?
Motion.
Okay, a second?
Second.
I'll start, and I don't really know if we have a lot of discussion on this, but I actually think it's really good to have him on it because he's so visible and so many residents see him out there, so it's kind of cool. Director Roberts?
Yeah, I just, and Lisa, I think just a comment is that just caution him on how he's using it. If it's not equipped to pull trailers with heavy stuff, then let's see if Crossroads can provide a vehicle for him to use here for those heavier loads versus using that, because this is something I've wanted for a long time, is for this to be here, and now we're replacing the motor on it. So I just want us to use it very cautiously and know what the limitations are.
Absolutely, he will
Okay.
be given that information. Just please keep in mind that it really does have to do with more of the terrain that he's having to go into now that we have a lot more homeless camps. These homeless camps, the items that he's pulling out of there is what's causing the actual motor to have to be utilized to the extent that it does. He hasn't been pulling the power washer, but he has needed to use the trailer, and you can't get those trucks back into the areas where these homeless camps are at.
And maybe
So
the
that
block watch will kind of cut down on some of the
That would
homeless
probably
too.
help as well, but
Okay.
that's the reason.
Yeah, Director Young, do you have any comments on this?
No comments.
Director Shoemaker?
No comment.
Director Johnson?
No comments.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
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 Okay, legal.
All right, board members, you may recall, I think we chatted about it briefly, but y'all had updated your dry contingency plan, and then subsequent to that, the city of Cedar Park had made some corresponding changes on their end to react to the updated LCRA standards, and that was really just a designation of stage. When the stages kick in, they weren't substantively a lot different, but when we sent them our updated report, JP reached out and said, hey, we just got some inconsistencies here. So we have now updated your dry contingency plan to meet or exceed everything in the Cedar Park plan. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, so I have a motion to approve.
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion, Director Roberts?
So I have a question for you.
Mhm.
Does this include the variables for commercial?
Like
The
for like
variance, I meant to
commercial.
say, like for us?
Oh, no, I think that's in your rate order.
Okay, so that's different, then this is just, okay, then you don't need to worry about answering that.
Okay, Director Young?
No comments.
Director Johnson?
I don't have any questions.
Director Shoemaker?
No comment.
Okay, I have no comments. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, number 34.
This is just a review, no affirmative action here. These are all your policies, including deductible amounts here with TML, and then in addition to that, we have all the coverages listed here. We did a pretty good job a year or two ago going back and identifying all of the facilities that are covered. In addition to that, making sure that we had coverage on anything. This is more informational. We can always amend your coverage or add things at any time. So I don't have any suggested changes, but we always like to put this in front of you guys just to make sure you're aware of everything that's being covered.
Okay, so no decision, no action.
No decision.
Okay.
By all means, if you want to take a look at it, have any questions for me, and we can always bring this back at any time.
Thank you. Number 35.
Yeah, we talked about this briefly last month. This is the cyber coverage. So I went back and I have, I don't know if everybody had the opportunity to read the accompanying materials here, but basically this is a fairly all-inclusive policy with regards to anything that kind of comes under the cyber umbrella. I did do a quick look at it. While the cost, the multiplier in terms of how much this cost compared to last year has gone up, With that said, I know you guys are trying to be budget conscious, but I did run the numbers, and on the proposed cost, this would encompass about 0.02% of your annual budget to have the cyber insurance.
What was it, 0.12?
0.02%. So if you read through the critical alert, and there's descriptions in here of what exactly this coverage costs, or excuse me, what it covers, and it is pretty comprehensive. To be sure, I think your individual consultants that have a lot of your data are already covered up with cyber insurance considerations. With that said, I don't know, I think I might look at this as an umbrella policy, in terms of, even if, we feel very good about the camera stuff, but if they were hacked, there's ransoms out there, stuff like that. So I guess for my thought is, I think it's probably a small price to pay in the modern age just to ensure that you're covered up with cyber.
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, discussion, Director Roberts?
No.
Director Young?
Yeah, if they hack our video system, how much is that really gonna cost us? Let's say they just delete it or steal it or whatever. I don't know that, if we got the spyglass, it's going to the cloud anyway. I don't know that this covers anything that's not already covered. And regardless of the teeny tininess of it.
Finish.
I just don't know that, even if there is one little item that it is covering, let's just get insurance for that one little item, not this big umbrella type of a thing. I think we should drop this. And if there is something that, through any sort of audit, we've determined that it's vulnerable and we need to insure it, then let's go get insurance for that one specific item.
Okay, Sean, you had a response?
I would just even point out that, like, I'm not a cyber networking guy, but we have, I'm aware of a situation in Denver where a law firm's website got hacked, their entire deal got taken over. So I think this could hit you in a variety of ways. And like I said, I guess my thought here is, given the cost, I would view this as sort of an umbrella coverage of sorts. But just, whether it's cameras, your website, I think you have computers, various IT infrastructure throughout the entirety of your district. So to me, whether it's $1,000 or $1,200 policy, it's just a small amount of money to have.
Okay, Director Shoemaker?
No comment.
Director Johnson?
I do have a question, Sean. I think you might have just answered it, but it garbled just a little bit. So the current annual contributions we're considering are either the 1,000 or the 1,250. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. And are we considering, I guess, this wasn't in the motion, I don't think, but which one are we considering?
I would leave that to you all. And Robert, just to be sure to address your point of getting like specific coverage, I think this is the cyber coverage that they offer. I don't know that we could go back to TML, so we might have to go to a different marketplace to get that. I'm not positive.
So which one are we covering in your motion? There's multiple in there?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go on our attorney's recommendation.
Does the district own any
hot potatoes?
I'm operating off of my own computer. Sean's got his own computer. The laptop, that's Crossroads.
Is that yours or is
It's
that?
providing those? Or these are, do we have a single computer? Laptop or desktop?
Those that are under Crossroads, right?
I thought we had the pool.
Yeah,
The pool still doesn't have them anymore. Huh?
They don't have one.
I don't think they have it.
We used to have one.
Used to.
So your current coverage is the core plus coverage, to answer the question, so that's the higher of the two.
Which is how much?
That is the $1,250 annual contribution.
It's like $100 a month.
I really see Director Young's point. I think a lot of this is already covered, but there's gonna be that one thing that's gonna slip by, and for $1,250, I'm not an expert on this either, but I don't know, I think it's probably just.
Your website, as a for instance, is something that could be hacked and taken over, so.
But but that's not covered by,
But we're paying somebody to do backups of that
Yeah.
and restore it upon impact.
Yeah, but at the same time, if folks, they'll sue everybody and they could hack in and cause great damage, and it may appear that we are covered until we have that exposure, and then guess what? We don't have the insurance.
yeah.
And we don't have a single computer to protect. We don't have a single server to protect.
This is also about data, isn't it? Cyber breach.
Yes, and those are all covered by the other companies.
But-
Crossroads covers that laptop, I cover my own laptop. Everything else is covered by somebody else that we're paying. We're just double paying for whatever we're getting through this. And if anybody has any single point of what can be done, I would love to hear it, and I will flip my opinion and let's get it covered. But there is nothing in that is getting covered that is not already covered.
So let me ask
I know,
you this,
just
what
to-
is the limit for the other ones? What's the limit of coverage
For what?
that the others are going to cover, you said that we have already?
Yeah, well, we
What-
could ask,
what are
we
the
could ask
limits?
Crossroads, or we could ask Spyglass, where we're recording the video to go. They're all paying for that.
Yeah, I think the unfortunate thing is that TML was really pushing us to sign this by a certain date, right? And again, I'm listening to what Director Roberts is saying and what Director Young is saying. I do think we're already covered, but I haven't looked and seen what that exact coverage is. And I'd hate to find a little oops there. Is this an annual thing that we would renew?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I hate to double pay,
I agree.
but, I mean, I hear what you're saying. I actually really agree with you. But I haven't been able to completely break down all the other coverage and understand it. So,
If there is one thing that you can find that we're covered, I will happily flip and let's get it
yeah,
insured.
and I haven't been able to do that yet. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and, call for a vote, unless anybody else has anything they wanna add. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, all opposed?
Opposed?
Opposed. Okay, let's go ahead.
Did you record yours?
Yes, I did. I put my little finger up.
I'm sorry, you were,
I'm a
I
nay.
thought you
I said I posed, I under opposed. Maybe that was the confusion.
So it's 4-1, right?
Okay, we got a couple more items. 36.
2. But let's be clear on the vote record. You said aye
I
to
voted
nay.
against, yes.
Okay, so it's 3-2.
Oh, I did miss that, I thought it was.
Yes, sorry for the confusion, guys.
schedule is under item that's 36, and we are scheduled to get together on 9/11 to finalize your public hearing on your tax rate and the budget. And then otherwise, your next meeting will just be the last Wednesday of September, looking forward.
Okay, and I know I asked us, add the water rate and the TDS to that agenda, please. Okay, I don't think we have anything under code of ethics, subcommittees. You have anything there, Sean?
I don't think so. We talked a little bit generally about subcommittee considerations. And so just as a reminder to everybody, so there's been questions about the involvement of the general manager with subcommittees. Subcommittees can always meet historically here, met for a long time without GM interaction. And so I would just want to make sure everybody is aware of that. I think also just to, as a refresher, I think when we have new board members come on, there was a discussion of rotating subcommittee members annually. I think we decided against that last year. But I think possibly with a new board member coming this fall, you guys might look at changing subcommittee considerations that are in the fall.
Okay, one thing, Sean and I are looking at the contract.
Necessarily.
Pardon me?
Oh, I apologize. I was just saying, Sean said that we should consider looking at the committee assignments, and I said, you necessarily will have to, right?
Yeah, we will.
Just agreeing. My apologies.
Yeah, when Amanda comes on. One thing that Sean and I were reading the Crossroads contract, and while it does say that the GM will be part of the subcommittees, it says at the request of the board. So we absolutely, it's not that she has to be part of the subcommittee meeting. So I just want to make sure that the subcommittees I'm sitting on, that the individuals are going to work with me. You know, if not, if we need to make a change right away, please let the GM and Sean know if we can't work together.
Which item are we on right now?
Subcommittees.
I didn't think it was on the agenda.
It's on the agenda. It's number,
Miscellaneous and board subcommittee directives.
Yeah, okay.
okay? Future board meetings, agenda items, I've given Sean.
I've got a comment on subcommittees.
Mhm.
I was reviewing our code of conduct that the directors adhere to, complaints and procedures for violations. It says, a general complaint lacking detail would not be sufficient enough to invoke the procedures in the section, and anonymous complaints will not be considered. What I would like us to do is hold the GM to the same standards that we are adhering to in subcommittees. So when she wants to report anonymous things and publish them to the packet,
We've already cleared that up, and the anonymous complaints are no longer gonna go through her, they're gonna go through Sean. We've already agreed on that.
when did we do that?
We discussed that when this first came up. We did as a board, that was Andrew's recommendation, that all anonymous complaints, emails, phone calls will go directly to Sean.
Was that a full board meeting or a sub?
It was a full board meeting.
All right, guess I can look up the video then,
Yeah,
thank
you
you.
sure can. Okay, future board meetings and agenda items, please send any agenda items to Nancy and Sean and CC the GM, of course. And then do I have a motion to adjourn?
I do have a comment on agenda items.
Yeah.
Let's try not to bring drama agenda items into the board. Let's stick to business and only business. Because we are here to provide water and wastewater, and the district owns the amenities and parks. That is our focus. Thank you.
Yeah, okay, I agree with you. All right, did I hear a motion to adjourn? In a second, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, guys, hey, it is 8:01. That was
And we
fantastic.
got out for the storms.
Thank you.